In the WWE, they call it the Survivor Series. I believe in the annals of basketball history, that is a fitting nickname for what we just watched in the Eastern Conference semifinal matchup between the Boston Celtics and our Toronto Raptors. The Raptors fall 92 to 87 in regulation, losing the series 3 games to 2 in another anxiety-filled nail biter. And this is Raptors Nightcap, brought to you by our good friends at Sterling Vineyards, a leader in Napa Valley wine. Akil Augustine, joined by Leo Rautins, Sherman Hamilton, Randy Urban, and eventually Savanna Hamilton. But right now, Raptors Nation probably taking to their Twitter accounts and their Instagram accounts, espousing all of their opinions and beliefs about how it all played out down the stretch for the Toronto Raptors in a tightly contested game that featured, unfortunately for the Toronto Raptors, a lot of turnovers, and for the Celtics, some stellar defense down the stretch. I'll bring in Leo Rautins first. Leo, walk us through the final few minutes of this game and what you saw from the Toronto Raptors.
Well, quite honestly, I mean, the last few minutes to me were pretty much like the second half and part of the first half. The Raptors just seemed to be in a rush, right? You'd get a good stop and you hurry and try to get something. You maybe score inside. Next time down, you're going to force something and try to do things too quick. 18 turnovers, giving up 31 points. And, hey, Boston's a good defensive team, but I'll tell you, a lot of the Raptors' turnovers were self-inflicted, just trying to play too fast. I thought they had great opportunities inside, but, they just didn't take advantage of them consistently enough. And what's that number when the Raptors win in this series? They shoot 37% from three. When they lose, they're around 28%, and those are the numbers again here tonight. So, again, I thought it was just a little bit – they were a little too rushed in a lot of situations that really hurt.
The Raptors season comes to a close, Sherman. Let's go over this game with a fine-tooth comb and go back to the beginning. We saw something interesting. In the early parts of the game, Nick Nurse reaching into his bench. We saw some minutes for some guys that maybe you wouldn't usually expect. But when you've logged the amount of minutes with the starters that you have, at some point, it's got to give. Sherman, your impressions of how Nick Nurse managed, spicing things up with some other guys.
Well, I think Nick was trying to find some ways to motivate his team and get them jump-started in some ways. And, in a Game 7, he knows his main guys are tired. He knows that they've logged a lot of minutes. So he's trying to find a spark somewhere in the roster to help this team out. And at times it looked like it was going to work, and at times it didn't look like it was going to work. But ultimately it comes down to the fact that they just turned the ball over, as Leo said. I mean, they wanted to play with pace. They wanted to play fast. But it looked like they were playing in a hurry. And when they got into those modes, they just gave Boston an opportunity. Got around 10 more shots than the Raptors in this game because of those turnovers. So not only were you struggling against a half-court defense, you were giving up those live ball turnovers, and that's the ones that you can't afford. The side-out turnovers, you can in terms of setting your defense, but when they're coming down your throat with a numbers game and their advantage, it's difficult to keep up with them. And I just thought that nothing that they tried to do happened with any consistency in this game. And it was a difficult game to watch, to see them try to play through it, but just knew that they were shooting themselves in the foot every time they turned the basketball over and gave Boston more opportunities.
Yeah, for me, guys, I mean, the Raptors had a good first quarter. They led by 1. They had a good third quarter. They outscored Boston. They obviously struggled in the second and fourth. And for me, it's hard to nitpick the specific plays because, you watch these guys giving it all at every point in the game. But you guys are right. The rush plays and the ill-advised shots at times and the turnovers. And I just want to highlight, two, I think, critical moments for the Raptors. Despite all those things that were happening, there were 2 late shot clock plays for Boston, and it was Kyle Lowry had closed out on Marcus Smart, the 3 in the corner. And I think you just contest there as hard. I know, your emotions are high and you try to strip on that shot and it leads to 3 free throws. And then I think the Tatum flying in for the rebound after those 2 free throw missed, and that sort of just gave Boston new life and took away life from the Raptors. And of course, I really think Marcus Smart was a huge factor in the series. Obviously, he was hitting threes and spurts and stuff, but that block on Norm, to me, that's the play of the game there at the end.
I made the mistake of going on social media during the game and saw the slander, but let's talk about it from some professional perspectives. Obviously, not the performance that you wanted to see from Pascal. They went to him repeatedly looking to kind of kickstart something. He had the matchups. Oftentimes, he got past the defense. Let's talk about Pascal's game. Leo, I'll start with you and why it didn't translate to the effect he needed it to be.
No, I mean, he definitely did not, play to the level the Raptors expected. He didn't play to the level that he played prior to the restart, right? And I think there's a perspective you have to have on this, in my opinion. If you think about it, when Pascal started playing the game, most players already long before that identified as NBA players. So his level of development, he's still in that, right? He's still in the development stage, and he's also a late bloomer in the development stage. So there's a great amount of expectation because he got paid, right? And I think you always got to keep that in perspective. And, a lot of people haven't talked about it, but Pascal's a gym rat. Pascal's the guy that, every season he gets ready, he's working out, in LA, he's doing all kinds of different things. Well, this bubble was very different. And the pandemic was very different in terms of what he could do when he was away from the game. And quite honestly, I think that hurt him. I think he lost a lot of rhythm. He didn't look comfortable at any point in time in this bubble to me. But here's the thing. Pascal's always been a gym rat. He's always been the kind of guy that would go back to the shop and just keep working. So, that's got to be the plan. I mean, his potential, his upside is still tremendous. You can't get down on a guy in the first year of this kind of a role. And most of this year was really good, like I said, up until the reset. So it's just a question of getting back to work and finding out, how you can get better, what you can do. Take everything that you learn here and put it into practice in a gym and get back to work.
And Sherman, it's easy to walk away from this game with a bad taste in your mouth at the second-guess decisions down the stretch. But when you look at this season from a larger scope, it's got to be a tremendous success for the organization, for Nick Nurse, who walks away with some very coveted hardware in his profession, the coach of the year, and for this Toronto Raptors squad that was kind of a forgotten team and kind of a castaway to kind of re-legitimize themselves. So looking back, what do you take away walking away from a Game 7 loss to the Celtics when you're giving perspective to Raptors fans? I'll start with you, Sherman, and Randy. You can take it.
Well, first of all, the next 24, 48 hours, you're not going to be looking back in a positive way based on the loss and the season being over. Having said that, I think there are a lot of positives that the Raptors can take away from this season. Nobody expected them to have the regular season that they had. Without Kawhi Leonard, they were written off. You heard everybody. Some people didn't even have them in the playoffs. That's how ridiculous it was. But I thought that they played through all of that. They were able to have success in terms of major guys being missing from the lineup. So I think that built a lot of character with this squad, and it built a lot of continuity. I think for Nick Nurse, I thought he did a great job again this season. I mean, you don't get the coach of the year for no reason. And Nick has shown his creativity, continues to get better. And he's shown his ability to constantly challenge his team to play in different styles. And they've responded well. I just want to touch on the Pascal thing quickly. When trying to take that good to great, which Pascal is a very good, it's the little things. And it's things that you have to do with consistency. And Pascal, I think, got a real lesson in terms of the things that he's going to have to get better at. Number one, he's going to have to get stronger. The guards for Boston got under his center of gravity and really disrupted his footwork and his ability to be fluid. If he gets stronger in terms of his base, he's going to be able to steal through all those. And the other thing is Boston made sure they took away his pet move, that quick spin and he didn't have a counter to that. He's got to work on a counter, and he's also got to work on finishing with his left hand. So the sad thing is they're out of the playoffs. Pascal didn't play well, but he's got a lot of homework to take with him in this offseason. He has some real things that he can challenge himself to work on and get better at as he continues to try and take that next step to the next level.
Yeah, and I was just watching Fred's post-game scrum there, and he said, I'm just going to sit with this one for a while. This one's going to sting, because I think the Raptors really felt like felt like they could have won this game despite the way they played. I felt like they felt like they could have won the series despite the way they played. Look, they really didn't play Raptors basketball for much of this series, to be quite honest. And just to go back to those 3 plays that I made in my earlier point, in no way am I faulting Kyle for those fouls or faulting Norm for letting kind of Tatum sneak in there. Those are just effort plays. Those are plays that happen in basketball where guys are just going so hard. So it's just, you could say, oh, Norm, you could have done a jump stop there instead of taking it to the rim. But, all that stuff is so easy to say when you're not in the heat of the moment. So I hope Raptor fans are not looking at that like as mistakes, and touching on Pascal as well. This is a kid, just being around him, like he wants to be the best player in the NBA. He doesn't want to just be great. He wants to be the best player in the NBA, and you can't go wrong when you have somebody that wants that. This is a guy that 2 years ago barely, he lost his starting lineup and was basically out of the rotation at times. And then he becomes the most improved player, averages 23 and 7, becomes an all-star for the first time. Sure, there were times where it looked like, the ball was a bit foreign to him. But a lot of that stuff, I know he's got to work on his handle. I know he's got to work on all those counter moves, and absolutely. But a lot of that stuff was just in his head too. We've all been there where we've overshot layups because we're just thinking too much. And I think a lot of that.
I'm still there.
No, you're still there. Me too.
All right. Before we let Leo and Sherm go, Leo, I want to get your opinion on this. Looking forward for the Toronto Raptors as we do. Fred VanVleet's coming upon free agency, a couple other guys, but let's talk about Fred's situation and what insight you can give us as to how we walk into free agency with Fred and what to expect from offers to where his head is at.
Well, again, it's early right now, right? And also, I think because of the bubble, the timing of everything is going to be very different, and there's a lot of things that are going to be a little bit more complicated. But regardless of what happened here, Masai and Bobby Webster have always been big picture guys, right? There's not going to be any knee-jerk reaction to anything that's happened here. I think that they have a plan. They've always had a plan, and they're going to react. Obviously there are things here that they put into play. They're going to be reacting to what's available, and decisions based on what you've already known about the players you have. And obviously, Freddie's been a very valuable component to what the Toronto Raptors have been doing and how they played. So I just think it's so early right now that speculating on anything in the situation we're in, which is the most unusual situation any of us have ever seen, is a little premature right now. I think you kind of need a little bit of time to just let everything just settle and see where it goes.
Well, that's it. This is our season finale. So somebody had to go. Turns out it's Leo and Hoodie Sherm. So you want to thank you guys so much for being with us this season. It's been awesome. Right now, we got to hand it off to someone who was responsible for most of the highs of this 2020 year that we experienced together, and that is Kyle Lowry.
Kyle, I'm going to start off with a question from Josh Lumenberg from TSN.
Hey, Kyle. Turnovers an issue for you guys tonight. Where did they come from? How much of it was them? How much of it was you guys?
Turnovers killed us. We were, a little bit too fast, trying to make decisions, and we were indecisive in our decision making. I think that killed us. We were really tentative in some of the things we should have been doing.
Brad Stevens was saying the other day that when people ask him why they don't impose their will more, he tells them when there's two really good teams out there, they're both imposing their will at the same time. Was that sort of what it felt like all series long? Two really good teams?
It was an unbelievable battle, man. Those guys, they beat us fair and square. They played extremely hard. They made it tough on us. We made it tough on them. We had opportunities to win it, but they came out and did their job, and they won, and they moved on. For us, it's sad that, we have more to give, but, unfortunately, we're not giving no more right now.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Going to go next to Bruce Arthur from the Toronto Star.
Kyle, it's hard to look back on the season in this moment, I know, but given all the injuries this year, given all the things that happened. When you look back at this year, what are you going to remember most about this group and this season, do you think?
I don't even know. Yeah, I know it's going down to the longest NBA season in history. But I don't know. I enjoyed this year, the emergence of Pascal, the emergence of Freddie, just being around these guys, these young guys. And, now we got a couple of free agents. Now I'm going to be really happy for these guys that's going on in the free agency going to get paid. And a guy like Freddie, I know he's worked extremely hard. And, I'm excited for him to see what his future holds. And, he worked extremely hard to get to this point. Serge, he's going to get his money. Mark, he's going to get the money. OG, these guys they're just going to continue to grow. And I'm just proud of these guys, man. For me, being 14 years in, playing with these young guys and those guys pushing me to be better every single day and those guys letting me lead them, that's important for a guy like me. 14 years is going by so fast. You want to cherish every moment. And I know I'm going on and on because, it's kind of a rant, but you miss out on these moments that you don't go to championship, and you miss out on opportunities to play with, to keep continuing to play with these great guys.
That wasn't a rant, I don't think. I think that was awesome. But Kyle, when you look at this series and this game, and there was so little to choose between these teams, do you even know what the difference was in a game like this?
Yeah, we turned the ball over. We didn't execute well enough, but we played hard. We could have played harder. Man, it was a tough game to lose, but they won. Tip your hats to them. They have an opportunity to go on and play against Miami and try to get to a championship, and that's they did. They did their job.
Thank you, Kyle.
Going to go next to Steve Simmons from the Toronto Sun. Steve, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. It's a 2-point game in the final minute. You guys had turned the ball over a pile of times. You had execution problems along the way, and there you are right there, right to the last seconds, right to the time I think you walk out off the court. How hard is it to lose that game when you were that close and didn't play the way you wanted to play?
It's tough. It's tough to lose a game like that. You rather get blown out. But not to say it like that, but we were right there. Norm had opportunity down in transition. Marcus Smart made a great play. Great block by him. Loose ball. I get tangled up with Grant Williams. We had the chance to get stops, and that fouled me out. He missed 2 free throws. Small things. Jason Tatum comes in and get a rebound. Just small little things, the intangible things, the minute things that you got to continue to harp on and continue to do throughout a whole NBA season. The mistakes are made, but it's just tough. It's just really tough.
Will you be happy, I guess, finally to be going home?
I get to go see my babies, man. I've been going down there 3 months without seeing my kids. I don't want to be going home, and I really don't. And I know my kids don't want me to be home because they want me to, their daddy win the championship, but I need to go see my babies, man. And yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good answer, right? Kyle Lowry, final media availability in the bubble, I imagine, or maybe there will be some kind of bubble locker cleanout. Yet to know. It's a brand new world, a new normal. We'll find out more later. But to find out more right now, let's head it off to Savanna Hamilton.
Well, Akil, it was a hard day on social today, as you can imagine. You actually referenced it earlier today, being like, I don't want to be on social. And honestly, it wasn't a fun time, but let's get to it. Murphy tweeting from what he heard from Media Scrum, saying, I take a lot of the blame, referencing to Pascal Siakam, who said that. Eric Corrine had said, an unbelievable battle, man. Those guys, they beat us fair and square, referencing Lowry's quote. Jay King, salute to the Raptors. They are tough as Josh.
You can say hell. You can say hell.
I don't know. Am I allowed?
I've said so much worse.
It's the internet.
Yeah.
Fine. I'll say it next time. I can't go back now. Josh Lewinberg said The 2019-20 Raptors brought a lot of people joy when they needed it most. A fun team defended the title admirably and against all odds. They can and they should take pride in that special season. And of course, our very own Tony Francis, producer with us at MLSE, she tweeted, "We had an incredible season. My favorite part, Fred speaking up and being the catalyst to the NBA strike for social justice." Guys, wouldn't you guys agree the highlight of the season was the way that this team used their platform? Akil?
Most definitely. For me personally, just, being someone who works on this show, having basketball back, is giving me the opportunity to go on other networks and to talk with you and Randy about subjects that I'm not sure there are a lot of places in Canada where you can hear people speak to these ideas. And it's Fred and it's Kyle and it's LeBron and it's Nikola Jokic who give us the opportunity to be on TV. So the fact that they were the leaders in that moment makes it a lot easier for someone like me and someone like Randy and the rest of us to come up here and say whatever it is we feel, because we've got like the ultimate asset in our back pocket, which are these super talented millionaires who feel the same way we do.
Yeah, and they forced people to have conversations that they weren't used to having or didn't feel like having, and that you can't go wrong with that. And I'm so proud to be a part of an organization that sets the standard in that way. So, definitely that's a highlight of the season for sure.
Savannah, anything else popping online?
That's all I got for tonight. I don't think you want to know the rest.
I was gonna say you're saving us. You're saving us. Randy, we got 2 minutes to go. I'll just say my piece. I think a lot of people are going to question decisions made down the stretch, but I think the deciding factor is the other night we kind of sounded repetitive. I think it was after Game 5, and we talked about maybe fatigue for like 15 minutes. But I think the Raptors, as amazing as the story it became, going down 0-2 really cost them.
Yeah, it costs them just the energy that you have to expend to get to 2-1 to 2-2, then down 3-2 and tied it up. That takes a toll on you. And I think also the Raptors offensively had to manufacture everything, and that wears you down, right? You didn't, so many times the Raptors made a bucket or got close, or even, in the second quarter, they went up by 7, and then Tatum would just calmly come down and drill a 3 with someone in his face, right? They had that star ability where you can give the rest of the guys on your team a break, and the Raptors struggled with having those moments. And I think eventually that wore them down. But, despite all that, they took probably, arguably the top team in the Eastern Conference when you look at the way they're constructed to a 7-game series, and they didn't play well. So what more can you ask?
All right, that does it. The Toronto Raptors fall to the Boston Celtics in the best-of-7 series in the Game 7, pushing it to the limit. Oh, the questions for the future. Free agency looming for players, growth for some others. It's been a fun one. Shouts out to Randy, Sherman, Savanna, and the gang. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Pat.
Nah.